What's going on, guys? Craig Kiriakis here. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm answering the question that you asked. You said, Craig, how do I pick a real estate agent, or does it even really matter? So today I'm going to give you my take on how to choose a real estate agent in 2023. Don't go anywhere. So I just pulled the numbers. There are approximately 331 million people in the United States. And of those, 1.6 million of them are licensed realtors. So that means one in every roughly 220 people is a real estate agent. That means the odds that you know someone who is a licensed real estate agent is actually pretty high. But the question is, does it matter who you choose to represent you as a real estate agent, whether you're buying or selling a house? Well, I think it does absolutely matter. In fact, it is critical to the success of your real estate transaction, whether you're buying or selling. I'm going to explain why. So I'm sure we've all heard that horror story about the people selling their house who hired their nephew who just got licensed and is trying to get started and kind of struggling. And so they wanted to give him a chance. And the house ended up sitting on the market for, 4, 5, 8, 10 months. They had to discount the house $50,000 to get it sold, or all of these other things. Or maybe you're the buyer who lost their $5,000 earnest money deposit when your agent didn't keep track of your due diligence timeline. In a nutshell, what that means is that the buyers ended up wanting to back out of the transaction after their due diligence period had expired. The agent didn't know any better, and so they wrote up the cancellation, sent it over, and the listing agent said, all right, well, here's your cancellation, but you're not getting your earnest money back. The buyers were absolutely furious, and the case went to court, and the buyers actually lost because they were outside of due diligence. They had tied up the house. It was off market. The seller lost money because of the decline in the market. Everyone in that situation lost. And it was because of an inexperienced agent who wasn't able to properly advise their clients. But there's more than just knowledge in the marketplace or knowledge of our actual career field. There's also personality type and who you vibe with. And it's important to pick an agent that you vibe with, which is why I want to consider the 4 core personality types of the DISC profile. So the DISC personality profile is something that I absolutely love. I have researched it, studied it. It is embedded in my brain, and I think I subconsciously use it in almost every conversation that I have. When I'm talking to someone, I want to know, in the back of my brain, it's not like I'm just thinking about it all the time, but in the back of my brain, I'm asking the question, are they a D? Are they an I? Are they an S? Are they a C, right? Because when I can identify how their brain works, how they're wired, I can better communicate with them. And if I'm able to communicate more effectively with this person, then I'm able to better serve them. And that is why, to me, the DISC personality profile is absolutely critical when your career is in real estate sales. So what is the DISC personality profile? Well, it's simple. DISC, D-I-S-C, you've got D, which is your dominant or driver personality. You've got your I, which is your influencer or influential personality type. You've got S, which is your steady or your slow personality type. Not slow mentally, just slow in making decisions, slow in change, slow in life. And then you have your C, which is cautious. These are the people that are very highly analytical. They want to do everything correctly. They want instructions repeated to them multiple times. They're very, very cautious. I am a DI, so I am a dominant driver influencer, right? So those are my 2 personality types. We all have a little bit of all 4, but I'm high on my D and I. And you should go take this personality test. It is absolutely cool. In fact, I'm going to link it in the description below. You should do it. You're going to absolutely love it. And it's going to change the way that you think when you talk to people. I am a DI. That means I am more of a dominant personality. I tend to want things done my way, but I'm also an influential personality, which means I'm enthusiastic, I'm outgoing, I find it easy to talk to people, I'm a creative problem solver. Those are my personality traits. Now, if I'm a DI and I'm over here talking to a CS, someone who is very cautious, slow and steady, those personality types are going to conflict a lot. And so if I'm trying to communicate something to them or motivate them to take action, whether that be to sign a contract or to go on a showing or to give me feedback or whatever it is, the way that I communicate with them is simply going to be different. It's gonna grind. It's not gonna vibe. It's not gonna be fluid, right? So I have to adjust the way that I talk to come to their level so that we can have better communication. Does the person that you hire as a real estate agent have the ability to ebb and flow with the personality types that they're talking to? Or better said, or more well said, is do you guys vibe together? Whether you are the same personality type or not, do they have the ability to vibe with you? Can they come to your level? If they can't come to your level and communicate with you, it's gonna be a rough transaction. You guys just aren't going to see eye to eye. There's gonna be friction through the entire thing, and chances are you're not gonna be happy. The second thing to consider would be work ethic and knowledge. And that's knowledge as in market knowledge, real world knowledge, street skills knowledge, negotiation knowledge. Are they a true professional or are they an amateur realtor? That is what you have to ask yourself. There are probably 1.6 million licensed realtors, and of those, I bet there's 160,000 that are actual real professional real estate agents. So let's break that down. Work ethic and knowledge. So work ethic, are they responsive? That's a huge thing in the real estate industry. So many agents do not respond to their clients in a timely fashion. They don't return voicemails. They don't return texts. They don't return emails. I've even had listing agents where I've represented the buyer. I have sent a contract in to a listing agent and they never responded. And the next day I call them and I said, hey, did you get my email? I sent in that offer. And they're like, oh, I haven't checked my email in a couple of days. Ha, it's not funny. You're a real estate agent. Things are emailed to you multiple times a day. How do you not check your email? That's just one example of a lack of communication. And if you have an agent or if you're working with an agent that just has poor communication, you're gonna be, again, just grinding and there's gonna be friction through the entire transaction. So make sure your agent is responsive. Also, are they punctual? Like, are they prompt? Do they show up on time? When you say you need something done, are they getting it done quickly? Are they getting it done with enthusiasm? Or are they just saying, I'll get to it, when I get to it? Also, do they know the sales process? Do they know how a transaction flows from start to finish? Do they have what I call the logic tree knowledge? Okay, the logic tree is like if then. So like if this happens, then this happens, then this happens. So if a situation comes up in the transaction, then the agent needs to do this. Do they know what that item is? And there's a million and one things that it could be depending on the situation. I like to say that I'm more of a firefighter than a real estate agent because my job seems to be consistently putting out fires. I'm a problem solver. That's what I do for a living. I solve problems because from start to finish, a real estate transaction is nothing but problem after problem after problem that has to be solved. So does your agent know the process inside and out? I would absolutely hope that they do. And if they don't, you're with the wrong agent. Here's another thing. Do they answer all of your questions? Are they dodging some of your questions? And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'll answer that question, or I don't know the answer to that question, but let me get it. But then you actually have to go and get it, right? If they don't go and get it and then bring the answer back to you and say, hey, here's the answer to that question, then they're probably not going to get the answer, which means they're not really helping you. They're probably not interested in actually helping you. And what's more is they probably don't care. And if they don't care, is that someone that you want representing you in a real estate transaction? No. And I would also ask, do they know the market? Do they know their local market inside and out? Do they know what homes have recently sold in a given neighborhood? Do they know what the average price per foot is in a neighborhood? Do they know just by looking at a price and the square footage, oh, that's too high, or that's underpriced or undervalued? Can they tell you what's going on in your local market in terms of inventory, both new construction and existing? They've got to know what's going on. If they don't, they're not a professional real estate agent and I would be scared. You don't want someone that has no idea what's going on in the market negotiating on your behalf. That is absolutely ridiculous. And lastly, are they well-spoken and confident? And I know that might seem a little vain, but hear me out. If they are confident in what they're saying and they're well-spoken, the odds are they're good at communication and they know what they're talking about. That's a good sign. So even if they say like, oh, I don't have that answer, or let me get that answer for you, as long as they're going to get that answer and bringing it back to you, and then they're able to articulate that answer to you in a way that makes sense, that's a good sign. Also, are they well-spoken? Are they able to negotiate on your behalf and provide unique and creative solutions for problems that you're experiencing on your side of the transaction? Are they able to do these things? Can they sit and have a conversation with you and actually exchange conversation, right? I hear Earl Nightingale back in the day talk about conversation being like a good match of tennis. No one holds on to the ball too long. You're constantly hitting the ball back and forth. And that's how conversation is. Is talking to your agent like talking to a brick wall? Or are you getting someone who's more interested in talking than they are in listening? Because if so, you're probably with the wrong agent. And along the same lines as communication or one's ability to communicate, how are they with negotiation? Do they bend over backwards to make sure that you get what you want or what you need? Or are they getting bent over backwards by the other agent or the agent on the other side? Two completely different things, pardon the analogy. But negotiation in real estate is a real thing. And it's very important that you hire an agent that knows how to effectively negotiate on your behalf. Whether you're selling a house or buying a house, they're almost one and the same. Negotiations happen on both sides of the transaction, and if your agent isn't confident enough to go into the fight knowing that they're gonna win and negotiate and fight on your behalf, you've probably got the wrong agent. So there you have it. Those are my three different categories of questions to ask yourself when you're picking out an agent to represent you in a real estate transaction. And those items probably all sound very elementary, and it's because they are. And it's something that your body or your brain would probably tell you when you're talking to this person anyway. So it's important to interview different agents. Get out and talk to a few different people, or get on the phone and talk to a few different people. See who you vibe with. If it's hard to communicate with a real estate agent on your first couple of phone calls or interactions, that's not a good sign. If you are able to quickly get a hold of an agent, you guys start hitting it off and chit-chatting and talking and vibing, that's probably a good sign. So go with your gut. At the end of the day, your gut is like your second brain, and it's usually right. And the absolute worst thing that you can do when picking out an agent, when you have that little seed of doubt in your mind, is say, well, I'll give them a shot, or let's give them a chance. Let's see if they can do it. It is just the worst idea ever. If you're listing your home for sale and you've got your nephew or your grandson or whoever that just got licensed, and you say, well, let's give him a shot. Let's see if he can do it. And if not, then we'll hire a different agent. Your house, the sale of your house, is like a record. It's like a permanent record. There is a record of history of the house being listed for sale, when it goes pending under contract, when it's sold, and we can see all of those details. When an agent representing a buyer goes into the MLS and sees that your house was just listed for sale 6 months ago with a different agent at a different brokerage, they're gonna ask some questions. And that's probably gonna be like, why didn't the house sell? And then you're gonna have your agent explain that, well, I listed my nephew or my neighbor's son or whatever it was, and it was just a shit show of an experience, and what can I say? We're trying to sell it. I mean, or if you're on the buy side of a transaction, here's a real life example that happened to me a couple years ago. I had a woman that I was working with, and she was very, very hesitant to start another relationship with a realtor because she had had a very negative experience with a realtor the summer of 2020. This agent took her around to literally dozens of houses. They looked at so much every single weekend, finally found one that she liked. She wrote an offer, got it under contract. Then she started reading the contract and found out that there were things in the contract that she never agreed to. Now, she signed it because she trusted the agent, and that was a mistake on her part, but the agent took liberties with this contract and wrote things in that she had no idea she was signing up for. And when the transaction ended up falling apart, she wanted out of the deal. Her agent didn't want to let her out of the transaction. She had to go around him to the guy's broker to get the transaction canceled. And then a few months later, when she got back in the market, market, the new agent that she was working with said that she wouldn't help her until the previous agent dissolved the buyer broker agreement. And she's like, well, I don't even know how to do that. What does that even mean? And that agent wasn't willing to help her out to get any of this done. So she literally just sat on the sidelines of the real estate market for an entire year until we crossed paths. Now, I work a lot differently than a lot of other agents out there. And she told me her story, and I literally said, that's cool. We don't have to sign a buyer broker agreement. So I started helping her, never signed any sort of an agreement because I'm here to serve. I'm not here to guarantee my paycheck. I'm here to help people. And that philosophy of relationships over transactions has not let me down since I started in this career. It is absolutely amazing how when you go out there and genuinely try to help people solve problems, the paychecks just come. You never have to worry about getting paid because you're there helping people solve problems. It's the most amazing thing. I feel like it's the golden rule. I will never forget it, and I will preach it until the day I die. So in conclusion, just make sure you interview a couple different agents. Go with your gut. Do they sound like they know what they're talking about? Are they confident? Are you vibing with them? Do they know the market? Did they show up to your meeting on time? Or were they 10 minutes late to your very first meeting? Because that's a sign. Just be smart, think it through, and just remember that using a real estate agent is a big deal because odds are that that real estate transaction will be the single biggest financial decision that you will make in your life. So please be smart about who you use as your agent. All right, guys, enough lecturing from me. If there's anything I can do, please let me know in the comment section below or shoot me a DM. I'll also leave my contact information in the description as well as my website, mobile business card. So if there's anything that I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you found this video helpful or informative, be sure to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, Curio House out. Now, that was terrible. I'm not doing that again.